Welcome to Painting for Fun with Smitty. Ardell Smith is a nationally known painter-teacher. His listing in the 1983 edition of Who's Who in California was the result of his students having created more than 50,000 paintings. Now with this videotape series, he brings you instruction on how to create a variety of seascapes, landscapes, and still life paintings. Over the next few minutes, Smitty will share some of his amazing techniques. Try them yourself. You'll be surprised at how quickly you too will be painting for fun with Smitty.
I'd like to give you a little paint mixing exercise before you get into your picture. All three colors, red, yellow, and blue, make the entire color of the rainbow. So everything is made of those particular colors. Now if we mix a little red and yellow, we get orange. If we mix red and blue, we get purple. And if we mix yellow and blue, we get green. And to see what the color really looks like, if you add a little white where you can't tell, such as the purple down here, is not very purple. The point that I'm trying to get you to do an exercise in is in mixing your colors. If you get a color you say has got too much blue in it and you'd rather it have a little more green, the idea is not to add more green, just to pick big. You would wind up getting a big pile of paint. The idea is if it's too blue, you negate the blue. You take the color out with orange, and that will turn it to gray. I'll mix a little more of it over here. So we have a little more orange. And if you put a little white with that, it'll give you a particular color. In this case, it turned out to be gray. That's what we want. Now, let's say the gray had too much yellow in it. We want to get rid of the yellow. The opposite on this color wheel, this is the color wheel. The opposite from the yellow is purple. So if you put a little purple with it, it will turn it back to gray. Now let's say that it had too much red in it. You didn't want it that red. Then you put a little green in it and it turns it back to gray again. Now I know what happens here. I can see that that's greener than we want. So if you don't want it that green, you put a little red in it, it will turn it to gray again. The idea of the artist is generally recognized for his ability to go to gray. And if you want to paint pastels, you have to go to gray, then add in your colors that you want to get a pastel color. The colors out of the tube are all pure pigments. So we have to learn how to mix the colors, and if you go through this exercise, you won't waste a lot of paint by trying to get a color by adding a lot of different colors. The idea is to take a color out rather than to put a color in. And I hope all of you will sit down and go through that little exercise and learn what you can about how to mix paints. It will help you a lot. Well, now we're going to do a little Sunburst Seasape that you have chosen. And my colors are cobalt blue, cobalt violet, Naples yellow, and the beach is going to be a combination of purple and raw umber. And we're going to start out with the sky as usual. It's the farthest away. We paint distance first and then everything up toward us secondary. We're going to start with the cobalt blue up top, and we're going to pick up a little cobalt violet as we come down, and we'll eventually pick up a little Naples yellow. The violet and the yellow are complementary colors. That's why we're using the two in combination. And we're going to pick up a little Naples yellow and blend that in so you can't tell the difference between the yellow starts and the purple begins. I'm using a little Naples yellow. And we'll blend that in with our cobalt violet so you can't tell where one color begins and another one ends. But our sunshine is going to come right from this yellow color. You need a light source in every painting you paint, whether it's inside the painting or outside the painting. You always need to know where your light is coming from. Now with a little cobalt violet and a little Naples and a little white, we're going to put a nice distant color down the bottom of your picture. That gives it a lot of depth. Now if I show a little white up here and took my palette knife and just went across it a couple of times, it helps it to make more like sunshine. And then we can clean off anything we don't want. Also, down in the center of your picture here, we're going to make this a little darker. We are, because we're going to make our water almost white down here to reflect this sun color. And you and I are the only ones that know we're making this darker and the sides lighter. Now, it's to set up a contrast between your ocean and your sky. The sides need to be light, and your center needs to be a little bit darker. Now to do the sunburst sky, we're going to take a little white, and this is our sunshine, and if we just simply draw a very faint line so we can see it, that kind of gives us an idea of where to put our clouds. And the clouds are just little puffs. We're just going to make that much of a cloud here, one here, and here, in general direction toward your sunspots. So you can barely get the idea that this is a sunburst sky. And we don't want to overpaint those. You're better off underpainting them than overpainting them. Now, as we come in, we can show a little brighter cloud because it's closer to the sun, and it will look more like sun. And all of them do not have to come straight into the sun. We can show some of them going out farther, so our sky is not that perfect. And I think we'll call that a sunset sky. Now I would suggest you put it on pause and paint your sky and catch up with me, then we'll get into our ocean. We're going to paint our ocean now, and the ocean level needs to be perfect. And to do anything perfect, I'm not a perfect straight line drawer, so I cheat. I use the little Venetian blind thing. I get these at the paint store, incidentally. We're going to put this up here so this distance is even. That makes our ocean level even. We don't want it on the bias. And we're going to paint the sides dark and the center light. And I'm using a little cobalt blue and a little raw umber to make a good looking ocean level. We'll bring that down just about an inch or so. Then right under the sun, we're going to wash our brush and lighten up the center of the sky, the center of our ocean to equal the sky. So I'm going to take a little cobalt violet, a little Naples yellow, and mix it with a little bit of white until we get a gorgeous color about like this. Then I'm going to do another kind of an odd thing. I'm going to mix some purple and raw umber to do the bottom. This happens to be the part for a little bay that we're going to paint in here later. And my purple and raw umber is going to be pie-shaped. What we're going to do is the sun is here, we're going to splash the sun in the ocean, and from that splash we're going to go out and make a bunch of pies. We're going to fatten the pies at the bottom like this. Wash our brush out a little bit and go back to cobalt violet and Naples yellow and a little white. And fill in our pies with this color. And when we get to this stage, we're going to put some thinner on our brush and go across and blend this whole thing until you can barely see the sunburst on your beach. This is the beach we're painting now. And so there comes your streaks that we're looking for. And I think we'll leave it like that and go back and work on our ocean. We're going to butter the white out like you would spread butter on bread, and pick up the paint on the edge of your knife like this. Go up underneath your sun and leave a trace of bright paint to reflect the sun on your water, and that will diminish as it goes out. We're going to do some more of that. And when we get down to about there, we're going to make a wave with Naples yellow color, the color of our sky. And I think we will make that come in about here. And this is foam area. We're going to paint it dark and paint this more foam area. And it diminishes as we go up here. Now we're going to take a strong cobalt blue, stick in just a touch of deep orange or raw umber, whichever you have on your palette. Orange and blue make black, so that's what I have here. And we're going to go up into our wave to set it into the ocean. It can be a little darker down here and a little lighter out here. Then we're going to take our little palette knife again, pick up some white on the tip, and lace a little paint right across the top of our wave. And this should be a nervous type thing, shouldn't be a too straight a line. The more you can bounce it up and down, the better looking wave you will have. And when you get out to here, the top of your wave is going to be light, diminishing as you go off your picture, because we don't want your eye to go off, so we can make that duller. And as you come down, you should get darker. That might be considered a pretty good foam for your wave right there. Going to do the same over here, excepting we can get more nervous and go higher, but we come down with light blue. And we're going to diminish this out here and put some rocks into the wave. And we can make the top of our waves a little lighter. Now we can extend our blue down a little bit, but not very much. It does need to be dark at the base of our wave. Finger painting is still the best. We can take a little raw umber and a little blue, cobalt blue, and put a shadow underneath our wave. And that should be as nervous as the top of your wave up here. And we can bring an occasional one of those down, either white or dark, both of them will work. Now we're going to go back to our knife again, put a bead of paint on here, come across the bottom of our picture, with a goodly amount of paint, and set our wave into the ocean level. And that's the way we do that. Otherwise, your wave may be sitting on top of the ocean without any base to it. Now the sun's here. We're going to splash our sun right here. Make it quite bright. And it doesn't hurt to make it look level with the water. Then we're going to stick a little bit of land in, and it can come up in here, and come out, cut off our water. And I'm doing this with raw umber. Now we can take a little bit of this raw umber and shadow down like a little bit like that. Reflections in the water all go vertically. Once you put it in vertically, you should go back horizontally to set it in the water so it looks like it's sitting in the water. Then we can go back on that and actually set it in the water with a little line like that. Another thing I think we'll do is we'll take a little cobalt violet, a little yellow again, part of our sky colors, and give this some sun reflection. So it'll look like you can see the tops of some rocks here. Now I think we'll leave that beautiful color in there and give this a little more dark here for land. All this is kind of a rocky effect to put on the beach. Everything you paint is an image of something. And we're just painting an image of land sitting on top of the sand here. We're going to spread our paint out again, like we were buttering the bread. We're going to put a heavy bead of paint on the edge of the knife and hold this level with the ocean. And as we come down, we are going to create a big wave out here. Now I'm going to put more paint on my knife again, and we'll go up here and I'm going to peel it off of the back of the knife and meet down here. So we'll start up here and jiggle it a couple of times. Remember, our knife is still level with the ocean. And we come down here and we meet that for this kind of an effect. Then we're going to take a small brush and do the same thing. We're going to follow our little yellow lines somewhat up to where our sunspot was. We can throw a little extra white down here. And we want to kind of go up. They should be a little on the level side. We don't want to overdo this either. But the idea is to get the effect that we did up in the sky. So we're trying to get a similar effect here. Now, if we want to put another little one down underneath that, we can show a little one here and actually paint it into the sand as though it were disappearing and sinking into the sand. Now we can take a little more raw umber and go out here and make us some rocks. And they will reflect. Let's reflect them like this. Remember, reflections go vertical. And we can show a little mess over here. We don't want the sand, our sand to be too perfect. So we can show a little dark. The idea of the dark is it moves your eye up into the picture. And we'll give ourselves a little dark over here to put our signature on. Now, on our rocks, we want to take a little bit of purple, a little bit of Naples yellow. So it's kind of the sky color. And we're going to reflect our rock. If we want to make two rocks out of it, show a little reflection down here that just indicates one rock. Down here we'll make two rocks out of this. The other thing that we need to do when we do this is that we show those reflecting in the water. Then we go back with the knife, get a little paint on the edge again, like that, and cut this off. Now we can show a little water running down into the ocean with that too. We can also show a couple of little marks here. Then what we need to do is to shadow underneath our wave to make it stand out a lot more. Now I have raw umber. I'll put a little cobalt blue on it because our picture is predominantly a lot of cobalt blue. And we'll go around the edge with a little dark. And you don't shadow where you don't see the water touch the sand. You only paint it in front. Otherwise, we don't paint this edge down here because you can't see where that would shadow. That's hidden. And we can also shadow this a little bit. Makes it stand out. And it wouldn't hurt us to put in some seagulls, common around the sea, around the ocean. And on this painting, I think we'll also give you something a little bit different and put a little sailboat way out here. And all we're going to do is paint the sail. We're not going to do a lot more. We're going to let you use your imagination for the rest of it. Well, I tell you, we could use a little rock down here, and I'm going to get that rock just primarily by painting the light in on it. Now we're going to sign our picture, and since we're painting in a mirror, it looks like I'm left-handed and I'm doing it backward, but actually I'm doing it just like I'm reading my name. It just looks odd. My name is Ardell, but I like to say that we're having fun painting with Smitty. And if you would like to see what we have here and how to do it, I wish you a lot of good luck in your painting. And when you get through, it should look something like this.
If you enjoyed this painting with Smitty, why not try your hand at another? Order the videos and learn to paint every one of these scenes. Collect the whole set and you'll be painting for fun with Smitty.